fifth largest population in the world. My philosophy in life is to empower people to win. So I think mothers and grandmothers are unlikely to start buying meme coins. I immediately said, get in the hotel, we've got a tailor to custom make you. The internet of aviation. Recording this in Islamabad, Pakistan. Hi, Ma.
Hi, Jimmy's mama.
Go Asian and South Asian genetics. I would be going to bed, sleep. My mother coming over the bed and she would just sort of caress me on the cheek until I fell asleep. My family left Vietnam the night before Saigon fell on April 29th, 1975, which is less than 2 weeks from today as we're recording this, because my father was a federal judge, are among the top 5 to 10 crypto trading countries in the world, but they all operate in a gray market. Like Singapore, Canada, in Europe, and they don't want to jeopardize their standing with the regulators in those markets by operating in a market which is gray.
Hi everyone, this is Saniya Chughtai, the CMO of Internet of Aviation, or we fondly call as IoA. We're having a casual conversation with a gentleman, Jimmy. I'm going to try and pronounce his second name, Nguyen? No.
Close.
Close.
I like to say win because my philosophy in life is to empower people to win.
So you have to tell us a bit about yourself, Jimmy. Now, because the world has become so small, it's very hard to look at people and put them in a country, right? It's the same for me as well. A lot of the time when people look at me, I know I'm Pakistani, that's my origin, but I've traveled so much and I've lived in Ireland. We're not boxed anymore as well. We're much worldly as well. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me as we are recording this in Islamabad, Pakistan, a country I've been traveling to for business for a number of years now. So I was born in Vietnam, in Saigon, which is now called Ho Chi Minh City. My family left Vietnam the night before Saigon fell on April 29th, 1975, which is less than 2 weeks from today as we're recording this, because my father was a federal judge in the country and the US government helped out all of the military and government associated families. We got put on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the night in Saigon Harbor. My parents took their 4 children, 2 older kids, and my sister, who was 3 years old, and me, who was a baby at 2 years old. So a bag of clothes in one hand, a baby in the other hand. Got on a boat in the middle of the night and trusted the universe that life would be okay. So they got, taken to Southern California, where we got sponsored into the country in the United States and restarted life over. I grew up in the Los Angeles area and lived most of my life there, became a lawyer, just as my father wanted one of his sons to be. And I practiced law for 21 years and then started an incredibly global life, which is how I came to meet you and your husband as a early leader in the Bitcoin and blockchain industry. And I started spending 80% of my life around the world. And so I'm in places like Dubai and now Pakistan a lot, Europe, Asia, some parts of Africa.
Oh, that's a great introduction, Jimmy. Lovely to know that. But for me, my journey with you started literally a day ago. I had heard a lot about you through Brendan, who is the CEO and happens to be my husband as well.
Great CEO, by the way.
I agree with that. I think he's a better husband than a CEO, but there you go.
I hope so.
But when my introduction to you was through him, and I remember sitting at the conference, like you rightly said, this is LIBS in Islamabad.
Which stands for Leaders in Islamabad Summit.
It's not LIBS, it's LIBS.
And we don't mean liberals, we mean Leaders in Islamabad.
So I sat down and you opened up when you started talking, you talked about your connection with your mom as well. And Jimmy, honestly, I was like, I want to go and talk to this person, because when a boy starts a speech on an international platform about his mom, it's going to be a very powerful story. Because there's a very strong relationship between a son and a mom. So it was a very beautiful speech. Congratulations on that. And I've been told that your speeches are much, much more dynamic. And I said, well, this is very dynamic for me. The whole narration was so complete for me. So it was a pleasure to meet you in Islamabad as well. But beyond that, the conversation that I've heard for the last 8 hours is that, have you seen Jimmy in a shalwar kameez? Yes. You obviously have taken to the culture of Pakistan as well. Tell me about this whole shalwar kameez episode.
Well, I own several sets of shalwar kameez.
How many? Go on. Tell the truth.
A super large amount. As I started coming to Pakistan to speak at business events and technology conferences, one of my key business partners in Dubai is Pakistani, and he loves showcasing Pakistani culture. He's very proud to bring people like me to his country because for an American, coming to Pakistan is not the obvious business destination. And so they really want to bring more foreigners in to see the country, hopefully lead business and investment here. And so one of the trips, he said, we need to get you a shalwar kameez. And so I've been taking shopping several times. I think I own now 6 or so sets, 3 of whom are back in storage. Somewhere in the US, I needed to bring them out. And I was just, before I came to Islamabad, in Islamabad for the first time for about a week for a wedding, the wedding of the son of this business partner of mine in Dubai. And of course, I didn't travel with my Pakistani clothing. And so the second I got there, he's like, oh, we need to take you shopping. So I bought, what you saw last night was one of the sets I bought for this wedding series of events in Islamabad. Tonight, at our really prestige dinner here at Libs 2025, you'll see something a little bit more sparkly. So
oh, really?
A little bit, just a little bit more
geez,
sparkly.
I might have to up my sparkles now for tonight.
But I'm really happy to wear them in the right settings. And I also travel to other developing countries to drive technology advancement because a lot of developing countries are looking at blockchain, digital assets, AI to help accelerate the progress of their country. So I have a relationship with the government of Nigeria, the National IT Development Agency. I've been a keynote speaker at 2 of their Digital Nigeria conferences run by the government. And upon my arrival at those events, my local partners and friends in Nigeria immediately said, get in the hotel, we've got a tailor to custom make you, Nigerian dress to wear, which I've worn on stage speaking in Nigeria.
That speaks a lot about
and I have things from Saudi. It's something I actually, it's an interesting point I want to make. When I was younger, being the immigrant and refugee kid in the United States, all I wanted to do was to feel American. So I would never have even talked about a lot of these things about my Vietnamese past and cultural history back then because you're so busy trying to fit in. Especially at that time in the 70s, we were among the first ever Southeast Asian families into the United States. The town we ended up at, I think there were only 2 Asian families at all, the entire city, us and one other family. And so it's only later in my life that I think I sort of realized I needed to sort of embrace everything that was different about me as opposed to running away from it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of aging as well, Jimmy, because I know that especially in today's day as well, the kids in the 20s find it very difficult to find who they are because there's so many different identities out there. And the more you root yourself in your heritage and your past as well, the more you find yourself and you take pride where you're coming from as well. But this says a lot about yourself as a human being to adapt to different cultures and embrace it as well. So it's beautiful. And I know that once you do embrace culture, those cultures have a wider opening for you as well to come into their, and it helps obviously to form relationships, and eventually it can turn into business as well. It's all about forming relationships as well.
Absolutely.
So what kind of potential do you see in Pakistan when it comes to technology and more specifically crypto, blockchain? And I know AI is the buzzword, but you can throw it in if you want to, you can keep it out.
Yeah, in short, I think there's a lot of potential, but the country needs a lot of help. I'll be really, candid. I've started coming here mostly for blockchain and the digital asset industry a number of years ago, leading the first ever blockchain summit in Pakistan for government and business executives, speaking with the then president of Pakistan, President Alvi, and the then ministers of science and technology and finance about the need to support both education and business growth and investment into digital assets and crypto and blockchain data businesses here. The problem is one of legal regulation, like it happens in many developing countries. Pakistan, as well as other countries I spend time in, Nigeria and my native Vietnam, are among the top 5 to 10 crypto trading countries in the world. But they all operate in a gray market where crypto trading, the sending of crypto is not fully regulated here. So for example, if you're running a cryptocurrency exchange, you don't really get a license. And so they sort of operate in sort of what we call peer-to-peer trading. Banks are uncomfortable providing banking to those companies. And therefore, if you're a person who wants to buy and trade crypto here in Pakistan, which are a lot of people, especially all the young people, they have to do it in these, what I would call circuitous methods. Yeah. And so that is what has held back sort of the growth of cryptocurrency, digital assets, and just generally blockchain technology in the country, despite the fact that there's already heavy trading. Yeah. Luckily, just in the last month or so, the government here has announced the creation of the Pakistan Crypto Council, which includes the lead heads of the Ministry of Finance and other key agencies to send the signal, we're going to come up with a plan to regulate this, hopefully, just like other jurisdictions have, such as in Dubai, which created the first comprehensive virtual asset regulatory authority in the world, and also not do what the United States is doing, which is really no comprehensive regulation. Any business who wants to grow here to access the very large market, the 5th largest population in the world, very young, very interested in technology, English speaking, has the ability and interest in digital asset trading. If you want to access it and grow, you won't enter the market unless you're clear it's safe and legal. I have friends in Dubai and across the world who run some of the biggest digital asset industry businesses in the world and have been very interested in Pakistan. They all tell me the same thing because they know I travel here on business a lot. We want to enter the market. We will not do so until it's clear that it's legal and we can get a license, because they have licenses from other jurisdictions like Singapore, Canada, in Europe, and they don't want to jeopardize their standing with the regulators in those markets by operating in a market which is gray.
That's very comprehensive. What I'm going to do is, Jimmy, I'm going to take 3 words from your conversation and bring them together. It's going to be a past, present, and the future as well, because I think it's very key to this region, right? So gold, investment, 250 million people, right? You mentioned it in your speech on the stage that your mom carried gold and she sold that to put deposit for her first home, her first family home.
In the US.
In the US, yeah. Historically, even now as well, Pakistani women have invested in gold, 24 karat gold. And I know a lot of people in the family and in the friends who would have sold that gold to do exactly what your mom did. And over the years, we have told them, well, try different investment, and they back out, right? In a nation which has 250 million people, you cannot just focus crypto on the 1 to 5%. We've got to bring the rest of the 250 million who are eager to invest. And that includes the youth, the young adult, the youth, the young professional, and the parent and the grandparent as well. I know we've got Web 2.5. I fondly call the people who are trying to understand or want to know Web 2.9. Web 3, we all know. They're all ready to invest. You throw any kind of token in them, they'll be the first people to invest. So for me, internally, the question has always been within the company as well, how do we talk to the grandmother and the mother who historically would have invested in gold and say to her, try the crypto investment, look into that as well, but we've got to speak their language. We can't go technical as well. We've got to have a hybrid model. So what is your take on this? And if you feel that we can talk to them, how?
I think there's 2 different ways. The first is there are efforts and already businesses around the world that tokenize real world assets such as gold and other commodities. And they could purchase tokenized gold, which they would understand. It's like a unit of gold where they don't own the physical gold. It represents a fraction of gold sitting in some vault somewhere that has been audited and verified. So it's a modern way of investing in gold as a savings or investment asset. That's the easiest. It's going to a mother and grandmother and say, hey, you can buy more interest in gold, but you don't have the physical gold. It's here in a digital wallet, and you can confirm that. I think that's the easiest. The second way I would recommend reaching those people, or anyone of, I would call not the young generation. Even my friends from the legal and investment and tech world, they're all very skeptical of digital assets and crypto, given everything they hear about it. And I'll be blunt, most crypto assets out on the marketplace are like, I don't even know what they are. They're like, it's a very speculative, almost gambling market, which is why I understand government regulators have not been so comfortable with it. So I recommend, for speaking to those people, you don't even talk to them about it as investing in cryptocurrency. They are less likely to go invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum, but there will be assets that are created, especially if they're backed by something like financial instruments, real estate, commodities like gold. airline assets.
Can you repeat that? I don't think I heard that.
Airline assets.
I don't think I heard it.
Which could be powered by companies like Aeroblock and the Internet of Aviation. Here's the thing I'm doing. And a lot of the business ventures I'm a partner in, investor or advisor in, depending on the audience, I don't even mention the blockchain or crypto space that much. You may be selling an asset that they want to buy. Let's say it is tokenized gold. You don't almost even have to explain to them it's on a blockchain or that it's a crypto asset. You're buying some form of digital gold. You're buying a carbon credit that exists out there. It might be recorded and verified on a blockchain, but a lot of the people who are interested in the underlying asset don't care that it's on a blockchain. So I think mothers and grandmothers are unlikely to start buying meme coins or, the latest crypto layer 1, layer 2 token because they won't understand it. But if you go to them and say, hey, here's how you could buy shares in or an interest in a rice farm. Right. Here's how you could buy, buy something that represents supporting a young female artist in Pakistan. Right. That could be a piece of art like an NFT. And there's some, it's about describing in a way that doesn't really involve cryptocurrency and blockchain. You don't hide it, but you don't lead with it.
I love that. It's quite comprehensive the way that you described it as well. I think it's taking what they do know, what's familiar with them, and bringing it into the modern world as well.
And that's not the audience that cares that it's an asset, a token on a blockchain.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
not. The people who care about that are usually, what we call the degenerates, who are like chasing I hope this goes up 20x in price in a month, which is unrealistic. No real asset does that. Yeah. So, and that's not the kind of thing you want to sell to your mother or grandmother. You don't want someone's retirement funds to go to some token that's going to drop in price overnight because there's nothing really behind it. So, because that's just the worst. Who wants to go to their grandmother and say, that, weird coin that you bought last week? Well, it just dropped, 80% in price and you've lost 80% of your money. Nobody wants to do that to their grandmother.
Nobody. It's just basically investment as well. I think you mentioned your mother and your grandmother beautifully brings me into my next question, and that is, I'd like to keep it a full circle conversation where what is your most memorable memory with your mom?
I would say it's like a faint memory of being a young boy, and when I would be going to bed, sleep, my mother coming over the bed, and she would just sort of caress me on the cheek until I fell asleep. And so sometimes when I go visit my mom, who's now 87, and she's the one kind of sleeping on the sofa now. I was just there about 4 months ago, or 2 months ago, excuse me, and she was the one that was sleeping because she's very tired these days. And then she just sort of reached up and kind of did this.
Sounds very healing already. There's something very nurturing and calming about that kind of gesture.
I think the things that affect us emotionally when we're young, we carry with us forever, and it is what drives and inspires a lot of our life choices, whether it's technology, business, people who you meet. I'm a big believer in following things that touch your heart and making decisions and how you spend your time and what you do with people, whether it's personal or business-wise, based upon that.
That's my belief as well. A lot of people ask me, you've done so many different diverse things in your life. Why? I said, because I follow my heart. The brain is an executor for me. I just, if my heart wants to do it, I just do it. If you say to me today, do you fancy becoming a doctor? And if I did, I'd go for it as well, So, Jimmy, look, it's been lovely chatting with you. One takeaway from our conversation is that I would love to meet your mother one of these days. If not, when you do talk to her or see her next time, I want you to give her my regards, but also let her know what an amazing job she has done in raising a boy, a gentleman like yourself.
I'm sure she would be more than happy to know that, because she considers me the golden child, which places a lot of pressure on a young Asian boy in the United States. But
is that your line for us to invest in you? He's the golden child.
They're very proud, and I will be sure to send her a copy of this video that she won't pull up on a smartphone because she doesn't really use smartphones. But my nephew, who's at the house with her, will gladly play it on his Samsung device of latest generation that he always likes to buy new.
Well, if your mom is watching, one of my things in the last 15 years.
Hi, Ma.
Hi, Jimmy's mama. One of the things has been, my eldest is 30 now, Jimmy, and I know what it takes.
You don't look old enough to have a 13-year-old child.
I'm 30, not even 1 3.
Oh, 30.
30. I'm 120 years old.
Go Asian and South Asian genetics.
Korean creams and Pakistani creams. No, do you know what it is? I've realized that when you see a child and when you see the integrity and the values in the child, it's coming from the parents. And if the mom has been at home raising the child, it comes from the mom. So even before I compliment the child, whether the parent is alive or dead, I said compliments to your parents. I think it's so important to recognize the parents as well raising, as we are as well. So when I met you, I was like, there's a lot of good values that have been passed on to the DNA. So well done, Mom, of raising such an amazing child. And I have a feeling that Jimmy will not just be a colleague, but a friend for life. We cannot wait to have more conversation with you. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this.
I'm waiting for our Dubai after party too.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. Brendan, do you want to have a conversation, or is that okay? I think it was nice and casual, Jimmy. What do you think?
That's great. I think that's
beautiful.
fantastic.
I know. I just wanted to keep it real as well, you know. Thank you so much.
Kapkum ka.
Kapun ka. Kapun ka.